Everyone ready? Good morning, and thank you for attending the first meeting of the Human Services Committee meeting. I'd like to thank the members of that committee from 2020 and welcome the new members, especially Supervisor Smith, who I understand is on her way because I had a telephone conversation with her this morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the prior committee meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Supervisor Frazier and Mr. McGowan, thank you very much. The agenda items, I would like for Amy McFerrin to help us through those. Request number one. Amy, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Hi, I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. A vote on the minutes. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Thanks. So request number one, Amy, if you could read this for us.
Sure. I'd like to request the appropriation of funds from the Countryside Rehabilitation Reserve to go into our repair and maintenance in the amount of $10,000. This is to repair our boiler. We had started out with a routine service, and unfortunately, the extent of what needs to be done couldn't be handled by our budget alone.
Thank you. As I understand that, that's with the vendor that the county currently utilizes, and all the paperwork has been disseminated to the appropriate folks.
Correct. We're using API, which is, they have a county contract.
Great, thank you. Motion to bring that to the floor, please. Supervisor McGowan, Supervisor Frazier on the second. Any discussion? Any questions? Yeah.
Just a quick question. Amy, do you know what this issue was?
I do actually know a little bit about it. So when we started out, we thought it was the regulator. That is a very expensive piece of equipment that I'm sure you're pretty aware of. But when we replaced that, it turned out to be that the burner. There's these tiny little explosions that kept happening over time that put a crack in the burner, making it so we couldn't use it.
Gotcha.
Manufacturer has gotten involved with this.
Well, it does create a lot of heat, and over time, we all seem to wear down. So I understand that. So thank you for the explanation.
Oh, certainly.
Thanks. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Number two request.
The second request is to create a full-time senior account clerk grade 7. And the second part of that would be to delete the part-time senior account clerk grade 7. We canvassed, and unfortunately we were unsuccessful finding someone to fill that part-time position. This will be taking the opportunity to reallocate our resources to meet the needs of the facility. And it'll take some of the weight off from DSS too. We'll be able to perform our own duties here at Countryside.
Thank you. Motion to bring that to the floor, please. Supervisor Frazier, Supervisor McGowan, any questions or concerns? Mr. McGowan?
Yes. Is it possible to put those two together?
2 and 3.
Yeah, because one's to intent to fill and one's to delete.
Can I go back to Supervisor Frazier? Is that good with you?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. And Mr. McGowan, are you going to make that second? Great. So I'll call the question for request number 2 and request number 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Request number 4.
So this would be to create a part-time activities aid grade 3, and we would be deleting the full-time activities aid grade 3.
And could we include, I'm sorry, could we include that with number 5 also, which relates to that? Oh, yeah, is there any, okay,
I was just
Okay.
gonna suggest that maybe we could.
Okay,
try those
yep.
two, too.
okay. So if you could also read and discuss number 5 too, Amy, thank you.
Okay, it's the second part of that would be the intent to fill. It's a 24-hour position that I'm looking to create, and deleting that full-time position. It is a mandated position here at Countryside from the Department of Health, and it is 50% reimbursable.
Thank you. Could I move that to the floor, please? Or maybe I've already done that. Okay, Supervisor McGowan,
Second.
Supervisor Frazier. I'm not missing any people on the screen. I'm looking in that direction also. So thank you. Call the question. All in favor of numbers 4 and 5?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Any discussion items, Amy?
Our census. So if you, as part of the packet, during COVID, we've kept our numbers pretty strong. So the first day of December we had 36 for a census, and the last day we had 35. But as you can see, we stayed in the last couple of years. We've stayed way above the 32 that was kind of the normal census prior to me taking over as director.
And the numbers have been consistent. Thank you very much.
I mean, it's not like good advertising you're doing there. You're keeping us full, so thank you very much.
Any referrals? So, referrals or pending items?
The only thing I'd like to mention is that we are now going into our 11th month, and we have remained a COVID-free facility. Part of me doesn't want to mention that because I'm afraid that, you know, all the prayers that I've done and all the good work, and that maybe we'll be jinxing ourselves. But I think that the staff here, it's very important that they know that, you know, how hard they've worked to keep us that way. Second, we are set to have our first vaccination clinic here at the facility January 28th. That we are partnered with CVS. That's who we were federally partnered with, and we are actually already partnered with them as our pharmacy anyway, so that worked out great. So our plan is tentatively the 28th for the first shot, the 28th of February for our second, and then we'll have a follow-up clinic the 11th of March. So hopefully we're on the right track. Some of the staff has already been vaccinated, so we are fortunate for that too. That's it.
Good news. Privilege of the floor. Anyone from the committee or any other supervisors? Mr. Lehman, do we have any comments from the public?
Good morning, Supervisor Driscoll. No comments on YouTube at this point.
Great. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this part of the Human Services Committee meeting.
You don't need to do that.
Oh, no, you don't. Okay, let's go. So we'll go on to the Department of Social Services portion of the committee. We've already approved minutes from last meeting. So, good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Supervisor Driscoll.
If you could help us read through, and I guess we've got 4 requests that I have on my agenda. So if you could help us with the personnel request number 1.
Absolutely. The first action item we have is a personnel request for an intent to fill vacant position of resource clerk number 3 in our resource recovery unit. It's a grade 4. The base salary is $29,333. This was due to a lateral move. The former staff member had moved to a different unit. Position is mandated and reimbursed.
I'll bring that to the board.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussions or questions for Chris? Motion, do I have a call to question? All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Request resolution number 2, Chris.
This is a resource allocation request. We're requesting to authorize submit the New York State Office of Children and Family Services Resource Allocation Plan for 2020 as outlined on the attached. The authorization is to continue contractual agreements with the Warren County municipalities who are listed on that attachment. These are a couple of towns in Warren County and the city of Glens Falls to reimburse a portion of the cost for recreational programs and community youth service providers for outlined programs that actually did take place during 2020.
A motion to bring that to the floor, please. Mr. McGowan. Do I have a second? Do I have a second to bring that to the floor? Am I missing someone? Yeah, okay, you're not. I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, so I've got, any questions or discussions on resolution number 2? Request number 2. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of number 2?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. On to request resolution number 3. Chris?
Number 3 is request to authorize our continuation with the agreement with Council of Prevention Alcohol and Substance Abuse for the Youth Court Program. This is for the term commencing January 1st, 2020, terminating December 31st, 2020, for a total amount not to exceed $60,000. This youth court program improves the county's capacity to support youth development and to deter youth from further involvement in the justice system. A lot of youth in our communities go through this program, even if they're not directly involved in Department of Social Services interventions. So it's very helpful to the community. We get this money through the OCFS.
Thank you. Motion to bring it to the floor. Mr. Fraser, Mr. McGowan. I just have a question. Is that the correct date for this agreement?
Yes, yeah. This is for the prior year.
Okay.
There was a lot of due to COVID. It was kind of a tumultuous year with a lot of our service providers and other agencies that we work with. This particular organization was unable to get all the finalized paperwork in until sometime, I think, in mid-December. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Julie, but I believe that's when we got all the information. That's why it looks like it's a little bit late.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear for the members.
I was a little confused.
Yeah,
Chairman.
okay, okay.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. So we're on to request resolution number 4, Chris.
Okay, number 4, not to confuse people any more than we just did. There's a little bit of change here. There's only one action item under number 4, and that's to request to amend the county budget to increase revenue and appropriations for a total amount of $90,000 to reflect funding received from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, which is a total of $90,000 there, $50,000 Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act, and $40,000 for the Safe Harbor Act. Those first 2 bullets under number 4 are just for information only. Those are not coming over to the county attorney's office. So Mary, we will not be sending these over. They fall under resolution number 276 of 2017. We handle the agreements here in-house and our attorney reviews them. So sorry for the confusion there. It should have been worded a little bit different. Those are first two bullets are just for information only as to what our actual action item is, which is to increase the budgets, accept the funding received from OCFS for those two programs.
Motion to bring that to the floor, Supervisor McGowan, second on by Supervisor Fraser. Any discussions or further questions for Chris? Supervisor McGowan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, Chris, you have the New York State Safe Harbor Grant Fund there is around a 35,000. You mentioned 40. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, the grant is for, the grant is for 40,000. 35,000 is going to the program, and we're able to keep a certain amount in-house at the county to cover some of our costs. So 5,000 of that will be staying with DSS and the county to offset some of our costs associated with the management of that program. So good catch there, Supervisor McGowan. I hope that explains that difference there, but it is actually $40,000.
All right, great. I just didn't want your books to be off, you know. Mike Swan will come right down on you like that.
No doubt. Thank you.
Any
Where is
other
that?
questions? Yes.
Pardon me, Chairman. Where is that 5,000 going? County expense side.
That 5,000 is going to cover administrative costs, and it can also be cover some supplies and stuff that we might utilize in the administration of that program and our management of it. For if there's specific numbers you're looking for, category, I think that Julie would be able to answer that one. But that's basically what the 5,000 that we're keeping is going towards.
No, sir. Okay. Anyone else? I will call the question then. All in favor of approval of number 4?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Pending items, Chris?
Just a little bit of an update. I think we talked about this the last time at committee. We were looking into various programs that private schools provide to children with disabilities. These are kids that are not placed in the care and custody of the county, but they are actually placed through the school systems. They're children who need very specialized programs. Earlier in the year, we were told that it would be up to the counties as to who would get paid and how the money would be spent. We discussed this a couple times at committee, and I also discussed this with the county executive. We decided to start a little working group over here to look into each one of these cases to see who would be paid and how much based on the services provided, because we didn't feel that it would be fair to transfer all the money to any particular school that might not be providing services. We went through each case and we did pay out money for a number of these. So it actually worked out well. We ended up not spending all the money that was available, just because, there's no reason to use all of these funds, especially with the 20% cut in all funding across the board due to the COVID pandemic. The nice thing is that with working with the schools, we actually got a lot of positive feedback from the schools, because even though we didn't pay the full amount to some of these schools, they were very pleased that we were a county that did actually pay money for services that were rendered. It's my understanding that some counties are, not willing to do that. But we didn't think it was fair to leave the entire burden on the schools and the local public schools, which pay a larger share of this cost than the county does. So that's my update on that. We, I think, managed to do that in a fair and equitable way. And we are glad that all the students are now back at school. So that's my final update on that pending item.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris, I just want to thank you. I remember discussing that and going over it. And, you know, it really wasn't the time. Is what do we actually do? You know, this is something, you know, in all fairness. So I really deeply appreciate you putting the team together and going through every little single bill and talking with the schools. And I'm happy to hear that they were pleased that, you know, we're not afraid to pay for what we use and this and that. And, you know, not everything's a handout, but the due diligence of following through with that is really your whole team. Please pass it on. The great thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that, Supervisor McGowan. The interesting thing is we actually got a written thank you note from one of the schools. They were just pleased that we were, you know, taking it to hand and looking at it and making sure that we were being fair. So thank you for that. And I'll certainly extend your thank yous and what have you in regards to that to our staff that was involved in that program.
Good morning, Julie. Are you still with us? Chris, is Julie with us, or is there a finance report?
Yeah, I thought she was with us. Let me see here. She may have gotten wrapped up in payroll. We had some issues going on in payroll as this morning, so there's a good possibility she may have been brought into something on that.
Does anyone from the committee have any questions relating to the finance report that we received from Julie Montero? Or any questions that Chris could take a stab at? Nothing being said, I will. I'll take that. I'll also encourage all members to reach out to the commissioner and maybe schedule a time when you can get on the phone or maybe a personal visit just to introduce yourselves again for the first time for one of our members and learn a little bit more about Department of Social Services, Countryside, and this committee also oversees our veteran services. And during the course of the month prior to the committee meetings, I also invite the department heads to share kind of a less than one-page overview of activities for the prior month, just to keep us up to date on what's happening. And certainly, if there's any questions in the meantime, shoot me an email or a phone call. I'd be happy to try to get those questions answered. There being no other.
Chairman Driscoll?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to just add one final note here as to just how very proud I am and our administration here is at DSS in regards to Amy McBurn's performance over the last year through the COVID epidemic. Basically, they've been operating under very, very strict COVID protocols from the DOH. There's a lot of things that could have gone wrong there. They've done a superb job with a complicated, really massive oversight from multiple agencies outside of the county. And they've managed to keep it COVID-free and keep the activities going and meet all the DOH oversight and audits. So my hat's off to her. We're super pleased that she's done such a great job and kept the residents and the employees there safe. So kudos to her.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for the commissioner? Not hearing anything, I will ask if I can have a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Mr. Lehman? Any public comments?
Hi Supervisor Driscoll, there's nothing on YouTube at this point.
Didn't think there was.
Nothing personal, nothing personal.
We know how people feel about DSS.
Don't take that personal.
Motion to adjourn. Supervisor Frazier, Supervisor McGowan, thank you for raising your hand during the course of the meeting. Enjoy the rest of the day, folks.
Thank you, everyone.